So now that we know about finasteride and what it is, how does finasteride work? To comprehend how finasteride operates, we'll need to take a quick look into the world of human hormones, specifically those that contribute to hair growth. Testosterone is a key hormone in the body, commonly associated with the development of male characteristics such as muscle mass, deeper voice, and hair growth. However, an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase, or 5-AR, can convert testosterone into another hormone called DHT, which is far more potent. Now, you might think of testosterone as a simple knock on the door, and DHT as a battering ram slam on a door. While testosterone gently knocks on the cells, DHT hits the cells like a battering ram, exerting more potent effect. In the case of male pattern baldness, DHT could be seen as an overly forceful battering ram, causing the hair follicles to shrink over time, leading to hair loss. And this is where finasteride comes into the picture. Finasteride acts as a barrier protecting the door. It specifically inhibits the type 2 5-alpha reductase enzyme, preventing the conversion of testosterone into DHT. By doing this, it effectively reduces the level of DHT in the scalp and overall in the body. The result? The battering ram effect of DHT on the hair follicles is lessened. This leads to a slowing down or even a slight reversal of hair loss in the case of androgenetic alopecia or male pattern baldness. However, like a barrier that only dampens the force of a battering ram, finasteride doesn't completely halt the production of DHT. It merely regulates it. So if you stop taking the medication, the barrier is removed and the testosterone can be converted back into DHT, leading to a likely return of hair loss. Furthermore, it's crucial to understand that finasteride isn't an immediate solution. Similar to how setting up a barrier takes time before it can effectively withstand the force of a battering ram, finasteride requires several months to use before you start seeing any impacts on the hair growth. But with continued use, it can help manage symptoms of androgenetic alopecia effectively. Okay, but we got that analogy out of the way, but how does finasteride work? What is the mechanism of action? Let's delve into it deeper. Because it's one thing to talk about 5-alpha reductase enzymes and hormones. How do these things actually interact? And what is the environment that finasteride is operating in to impact these enzymes? Finasteride's primary job, as I mentioned before, is to inhibit or block a specific enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. Finasteride is a type 2 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. Now, for those who don't know, an enzyme is essentially a protein that speeds up a chemical reaction in the body or any sort of substrate. You can conceptualize enzymes as a special type of worker in a factory line, each with a unique job to do to keep things running smoothly. Or you can think of an enzyme like a key, designed to specifically fit in a specific keyhole. Now, whatever analogy you may choose to use, this is the case. The job or the key of 5-alpha reductase is to bind to and convert testosterone, a male hormone, into a more potent form called dihydrotestosterone or DHT. There are 3 types of this version of 5-alpha reductase enzyme: type 1, type 2, and type 3. And they all essentially do the same job of converting testosterone into DHT, but they do so in different places of the body. For instance, type 1 is mostly found in the skin and liver, and it's also in the hair follicles. Type 2 is primarily located in the hair follicles and the prostate, and type 3 is mainly in the prostate and the lining of the blood vessels. Now, this isn't to say that you can't find other types of these enzymes in other places in the body, and certainly it varies with people's genetics. Everyone's different, right? You could have someone that has type 1 very present on their scalp, and in this particular case, because finasteride only blocks type 2 enzymes, it would be kind of worrying, so they may have to look at something like dutasteride, which can block all 3 isoenzymes or types of 5-alpha reductase. But in the studies, it generally is found that type 2 is present in the hair follicle, and type 2 accounts for most of serum DHT. Anyway, I digress. Now, you can imagine these 3 types as different workers of a factory, like the analogy I mentioned before. Type 1 is the worker that mostly does its job in the skin and the liver, and also sometimes in the hair department. Type 2 focuses specifically in the hair department and the prostate department. but also it may be present in other departments around the body. Type 3 is the one who spends his time in the prostate and the blood vessels department. Finasteride specifically blocks type 2, preventing it from converting testosterone into DHT in the hair follicles and the prostate. This is significant in the context of male pattern baldness because DHT, when it interacts with a hair follicle that is genetically predisposed to be sensitive to it, causes it to shrink over time, leading to hair loss. So by inhibiting or blocking the type 2 5-alpha reductase enzyme, finasteride reduces the level of DHT in the body and the scalp, which can slow down or even slightly reverse hair loss. But remember, finasteride only blocks the type 2 worker or enzyme. The type 1 and type 3 workers or enzymes are still present and can convert testosterone into DHT in other parts of the body, which is why finasteride doesn't completely stop the production of DHT. It just significantly reduces it in certain areas. This is a simplification of a complex biological process, but hopefully it provides a more understandable picture of finasteride's mechanism of action.